you didn't really care about getting paid. You just cared about like, this is something I want to get into. I'm just going to put my 10,000 hours in, I guess. Definitely probably one of the biggest highlights in my career and in life, I would say.
Hello, my fellow Martians. My name is Harry Mars, and this is the On Mars Pod, where we take a deep dive into creative professionals, entrepreneurs, and other inspiring Martians alike. Today, we are joined by Dylan Toon, a professional videographer based in Phoenix, Arizona.
Dude, I want to learn how to do that. I'm going to find out how to do that. I just like the fact that I was able to build a name for myself like that to where people can go and they trust that I'm going to execute what they're trying to do.
Hello, my fellow Martians. Today on Mars, we are joined by a video director and a content creator. He is in Phoenix here. He's been working with a lot of the people around me, but everybody welcome Dylan Toon, aka Visual Shooter. Thank you for being here, bro.
Hey, and thanks for having me, man.
Of course, bro. So on Mars, we take a deep dive into creative professionals, entrepreneurs, and other inspiring Martians alike. So that's why I'm glad you're here today, man, because like I just said, you work with a lot of people around me, and it's funny because we've only met on a few occasions. We don't know each other super well, so it's kind of cool to be able to sit down and get to know each other.
Yeah. No, I'm glad to be here, man. It's
Absolutely.
A pleasure.
And correct me if I'm wrong. We met in 2019 when you were shooting the Get to Me music video. Is that correct, or did we meet before that?
I think we might have met like maybe on like a planning for that music video.
Okay.
But like around that time, I would say that's when we met, and yeah. It was such a great time shooting that
Yeah,
video.
man. Yeah, it was early too, because it was like This Modern had really just started. You hadn't really shot for like bands at the time, if I remember correctly.
No, you could. That was like my first band video.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dang, dude.
And that's what you guys were when you guys reached out to me. You're like, oh, like, we'd love for you to shoot our music videos, and I was into like the effects and stuff like that, and I'm like, well, I guess I could try that for a band.
Hell yeah, dude. No, I thought it ended up looking sick, dude.
Thanks.
Yeah, for sure. The ideas, I remember like that was like one of the first, because we only worked with a couple music video directors, and that was the first one as This Modern that we worked with like someone outside of like ourselves, you know what I mean? So it was kind of cool to be able to like see all these ideas that you had, and like with the mirror, and like we were throwing lights at stuff, like breaking lights in slow-mo.
I remember the shot of you like breaking that fluorescent light,
exactly.
And like I'm pretty sure you had like a katana,
Yeah,
or something
some shit like that. Yeah, one of us had a katana for sure. I remember that being.
And
a
someone
thing.
brought a spear. I forgot what was his name. He long haired guy.
Ricky.
Yeah, Ricky.
Yeah,
Man,
dude.
shout out to Ricky. I miss that
Ricky.
guy. He's a good guy. But I remember him throwing a spear at the couch.
Yeah, dude. We were just
Such a
having fun,
great
dude.
time.
Pretty sure Marcus got sunburnt.
Oh yeah.
Because of the
Yeah,
mirror.
the mirror. I was like, man, you might need to go to an eye doctor after this shoot. It was just blinding straight in his eye because we had no
Bro.
reflector. So I'm like, you know what, this mirror could work.
Dude.
But
Yeah, I remember after that shoot, he was like red, dog. He was just red. I was like, oh, Marcus, what happened?
we sunbathed him.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure I had to leave early from that shoot for whatever reason. So it was just kind of like there was some shots that I wasn't there for, but you guys were out there for like a minute, and that's why he got so fucked up.
Yeah, and I think it was like still like in the winter or like in the colder part of the year, and it was still like hot as balls.
Yeah, dude. But yeah, no. So it's cool. Like we have history. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's cool that you're still out here doing it, and This Modern's out here still doing it. So it's cool to kind of see where everyone's at now. 4 years later.
Yeah.
So how did you initially meet This Modern, that crew? Did they just like reach out to you like randomly, or did they know you through somebody?
I originally knew Tim.
Oh, nice.
I'm pretty sure he was the one that reached out to me initially. And I'm not really entirely sure how I met Tim. I think just through mutual friends. I would say like maybe Ethan Beasley.
Oh, yes.
And like that group of people kind of introduced me to Tim. I think I had I think like in the past we went to like Casey Moore's a few times.
Oh yeah, classic.
And I got to met Tim through there, and then yeah, I think that's how it originally started.
Okay. And I'm glad you brought up Ethan because it's funny, like, because we kind of lost connect after, years of not really seeing each other or talking.
Yeah.
And then it was just like, I had Ethan Beasley on the pod. And then after we're done, he's just like, do you know Dylan Toon? I'm like, dude, yeah, like, why does that sound so familiar? Because it'd been so long. And he's like, didn't he shoot that music video for this modern? Gets me. And I was like, oh, shoot. Like, that's, yeah, I know
Dylan
Dylan. Yeah, I know Dylan. And so he's like, dude, you should definitely have him on the pod. And that's when that's when I reached out, dude. So it's like, it's cool that like this pod is like also kind of bringing other people together
it's
that.
It's like a small world, or like just like really connected in its own ways. And
For
when
sure.
it meant so much to me, Ethan, if you watch this, thank you so much for even thinking about me, and the fact that you invited me on. I mean, thank you.
Of course.
It's rare for me to get interviewed and stuff like that.
Absolutely, man. Hey, well, a lot of times it's because like the people that are behind the camera don't like to be in front of the camera, and that's, I feel like, a big case for a lot of videographers and directors and all that. But I think it's important to shed light and show people your story, because you've made a lot of waves out here and you've done a lot of things in your time, and so I think it's important to tell your story. So yeah,
appreciate
absolutely. You're welcome, man. I'm glad to have you on. It's my honor, bro. So to kind of get a little bit more background information, you were born in Utah, is that correct?
Well, I was technically Moab, Utah is kind of like a second home for me, but I was originally born and raised in Gilbert.
Okay, so you were born in Gilbert.
So I'm pretty much a native here.
Okay.
But yeah, I would like pretty much every summer I would visit my family out in Moab, Utah, and so I kind of technically treat that as a second home. But Gilbert's where I'm from.
For sure.
Yeah.
Do you still have family out there that you see pretty often, or?
Oh yeah. Pretty much my whole mom's side of the family's out there, and yeah, I try and make my way out there as much as I possibly can. At least once a year.
Cool, man. That's what's up. So you grew up in the Valley then. So growing up in the Valley, what were your early passions like as a kid out here? I mean, were you playing sports, or what was that looking like for you?
Yeah, I played baseball for like 9 years.
Okay.
As far as like early passions, like definitely my brother was someone that I kind of lean onto a lot, because he was just always doing all this cool stuff that I want to do as well. We got into like BMX riding, and
nice.
like I was like trying to get into skating and stuff, but was never really good at it. I was better at using handlebars. Unfortunately, I became a scooter kid for a while.
Nice.
But yeah, and then really he showed me a lot of like early on music, of how I even got into hip hop. Like he introduced me to Bone Thugs and Harmony. Like my first ever album I listened to was East 1999 Internal.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would say like a lot of that, and then kind of growing up in that era of like MySpace, and listening to like 3 6 Mafia, 50 Cent, Eminem, and that kind of stuff. That was definitely, like, being a white kid in suburbia and Gilbert, I think it was kind of interesting for me to fall in line with that kind of music.
Yeah, for sure. Like the G Unit, like
yeah. And a lot of it was probably from like MTV VH1.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up, because that's something I wanted to kind of touch on, because I know hip hop was kind of your main thing when you were shooting music videos, heavy. So I'm glad that you brought up, those hip hop artists, and these are obviously classic artists, at this point they're goated, so it's yeah, because I similar, very, very similar. I grew up with R&B, hip hop, that was my style for sure. So because I remember being a kid, just like you're saying, 2003 2004, watching MTV Top 20 Countdown every morning in the summer type deal. So you were watching music videos like that too?
Oh yeah, like before school, almost every day before school I'd watch VH1 Jumpstart.
Nice,
and
dude,
I would
yes.
always watch music videos, and whether if it was like metal or like rap or pop or anything, like they were showing everything.
Yeah.
And that would just watching all those music videos really just, I don't know, there was just something about them, like, wow, they're like visually telling like a story, or like visually putting a song out. And yeah, I miss old MTV. Let's just set that straight.
For sure, dude.
The way it is now is trash. But
Absolutely. And it's like when it was music television, you know, where it wasn't just like reality television.
Exactly. It's turned into like e-news. Well, maybe not e-news, but it's like, yeah, it's like
just reality TV the
that's
whole time,
all it
and
is.
ridiculousness.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculousness and reality TV
I know.
shows.
Rob Dyrdek has them like,
By the balls.
by the balls for sure. He just owns that network.
It's like 75% ridiculousness. I swear to God. It's like any time of the day you turn it on, it's ridiculousness.
That's just a copy of Tosh.0.
Dude, yeah, for sure, dude. Yeah, it's crazy. But
thunder again.
Yeah, dude. It is thundering in Arizona right now, and it's freaking sunny out. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, dude, back in the day, music videos were like a rite of passage. Like you needed music videos for your singles, like, and that was like what attached people to the song. And like I remember like there's certain songs that like it's like burned in my mind, like the music video, like Ludacris Get Back, 50 Cent Candy Shop, 50 Cent In the Club. A lot of visual storytelling going on in those early days, and it was just like it was so important, and like labels were investing in like music videos, and that was like a really big thing. So it's kind of shitty to see it like to now where it's like a dying art in a way where it's like if you're not like a major artist, like you're probably not gonna like invest in the music video because it's not like like it doesn't seem like a valuable investment anymore to someone that's not a major artist.
And I can agree, and sad to say, like I'm kind of shooting myself in the foot here, but I strongly agree that like music videos are kind of a dying market.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not so much for mainstream or like established artists, but especially if you're trying to get your name out there and build yourself up from the ground up. Like I would say music videos aren't necessarily like a top priority that people should be focusing on.
Yeah, for sure. Just more so making like content for the music, but not necessarily music video altogether.
Yeah.
So because it is still like there's still something to be said about making like reels for your music and like still promoting it with some video to some degree, but like a full-on, fully produced music video is not necessarily for like a local artist. It's not necessarily like, I don't know, a good investment.
Yeah, I mean, but it also depends on like how what you make of that music video. Like I would say with vertical video is just so it's in right now. It's hot. And I'm not really, because I'm a film guy. Like I think there's like a difference between wanting to be more social media oriented or something more artistic like. But I would say with music videos, like you, instead of just getting the music video, you have to focus on like, okay, let's get the behind the scenes of that music video. Let's get snippets of that music video to promote it by making those reels or those shorts and stuff. But I would say that you can still do music videos, but I would say with the amount of money that it costs to actually make something good, you're probably best off like just making a bunch of real content and get them done professionally.
Yeah.
And if there is that one song that's like, you know what, this is like my best song and I really want to tell a story from it, then I would say it's probably appropriate to do like a well produced music video for that one.
Absolutely. And then taking, like you were saying, using it almost as like a not the only thing, like creating supplemental content behind that video, like you said, BTS content, snippets of the video to promote it before it comes out, doing that whole thing. Like don't just do the music video and then like
try and
just release it one day, you know, like, and it's like if you don't say anything about it, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Just like release it with the song and then it flops. Like that's like not how you do it for sure.
Yeah, because you need a whole slew of content to promote that music video. And like that should, the music video, the full length music video should be the last thing you post. You should be teasing your fan base and like really getting people to hyped up to watch that music video. And yeah, I think that's kind of why I haven't really done it as much lately, just because there's really not much of a demand of it, first of all. And secondly, I don't really see a huge future with it.
Yeah.
In my humble opinion. But
Yeah, and that's, I guess, just where the entertainment industry is right now, and that's just because of the quick, what's that, like, attention span, like the short
yeah.
attention spans. It's just like people absorb content so quickly and then like chew it up, spit it out. Like,
Hmm.
so it's just like it's almost like the time and money that you're investing to create this ends up not necessarily being worth it on both sides.
Yeah.
You
And I
know?
would say like certain people can be very successful with music videos. Like, I mean, if we look at Lyrical Lemonade, they're
Oh
definitely a
yeah,
prime example of
for
like
sure.
people are hyped up to see like what Cole brings next. But another example I would say ASAP Rocky,
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
because
for
he's,
sure.
I think for years, that guy just working with his group of Augie, like they've developed such a unique look to their
Yeah.
music videos, and him being an independent artist on his own label, like he always wants to be that creative, and to where people are always complimenting the music video. And every time A$AP Rocky drops a music video, at least for me, I'm like, oh, I cannot wait to watch that,
Yeah,
because I already know I'm probably gonna like the song. So it's like I want to see what this music video looks like.
absolutely. And that's an artist that really like cares about that. And
Yeah.
there's still some artists that care about bringing that visual art to life. Like, I'm glad you brought that up because there's one standout one of his that always stood out to me, LSD.
Oh yeah,
That music video is insane. And I feel like
definitely
that
revolutionary at that time.
for sure. At the time, there's so many like different techniques that he uses, like the with the mirror and like the effects that he used, and the kind of like the trippy kind of stuff, and that whole music video almost like gave that song an identity for real. Where it's
Mhm.
just like when I hear that song now, I see the visuals from the video in my head, which is like that's what MTV did back in the day. So I'm glad to see some major artists, you know, still taking that effort and putting that time in and really doing it on that level.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it is like the lower you get in notoriety, I guess that's when like the music videos become less and less like worth it for you. It seems like nowadays, like I don't see like any local artists really pushing music videos like that. Like a lot of them are just posting like social content and like reels and
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, yeah, we got to bring back music videos.
We
bring
really
back
do.
horizontal music videos.
Yeah, let's make videos horizontal again.
Yeah, exactly. The classic.
Let's get off our phones and start watching things on our TVs.
Yeah, exactly, bro. So we talked about music videos, but watching like movies in your house, was that something big? Were you guys watching a lot of movies growing up?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I like we would have a wide variety of VHS collection. My mom collected a lot of Disney movies. And my aunt, she lives in Moab. I swear she had, at the time, she had like 2 full walls of VHS tapes. And there was every time we go there in the summer, there wasn't really anything else to do besides, you know, like go ride the 4-wheelers or go out in nature and whatnot. But like if you didn't want to do that and want to kind of hang out, like you're really just subjected to go watch some videos, or not videos, movies.
Right.
And so yeah, I would say like I'm definitely a huge movie nerd growing up. You know, like I would love like watching like Dumb and Dumber, like a lot of comedy movies.
Yeah.
And on top of that, very like thriller-esque movies. I would say like the Bourne Ultimatum is definitely a big one for me.
Nice. That series. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I would say like Quentin Tarantino, like I remember watching Pulp Fiction at like, I don't know, like 10 years old or something like that. Like I was like, because that was a kind of the beauty of hanging out with my brother. He didn't really care what I watched. Like I was able to be exposed to like some pretty mature things at a young age. But
Yeah.
no, I think movies are definitely like essential to be a part of if you're wanting to like expand your visual creativity.
Yeah, for sure, man. And especially like in that time, like movies were a little different back then. Like I feel like there's a lot of cult classics when you're growing up. Like Pulp Fiction, you know, that came out in the 90s, I think.
Yeah.
For you to see that at 10 is so funny. How much older is your brother? by the way?
He's like 6 years older.
Oh yeah,
than
for
me.
sure. That makes
So
sense.
he was
He's
like a
sophomore in
yeah,
high school.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So he was
smoking weed.
Yeah, like he definitely was like the weed smoker, like, and just didn't really give a shit about, like, my mom tried to like not really allow us to be a part of, like, listening to like rap music or watching like mature movies or whatnot, but every time, you know, she was like asleep or like wasn't at the house, like we kind of, you know,
when the cat's away, the mice will play. That's what they say.
Exactly. Just like, oh shit, I think mom's coming in.
Yeah.
Turn that off.
Quick. Put on Cinderella.
Yeah, put on Land Before Time right now.
Put on Land Before Time.
Speaking of, that is actually like one of my number one childhood movie series.
For
like
sure, like
the Land Before
Littlefoot.
Time.
Yes, dude.
Such a great like children movie series. Like I love.
So wholesome, dude. Yeah, for sure. I remember being a kid loving that movie too, bro. It's and that's what I mean. Where it's just like those movies. Like I feel like some of those like early kids animations, like they don't make movies like that anymore. Sometimes, you know, it's like there's been a couple movies that I've seen, like kids movies later on, like The Good Dinosaur. That's actually a really fucking good movie.
Never heard of it.
It's like a Pixar movie or something like that. But it's just like kind of gives me that like that same like Land Before Time vibe, where it's just like super wholesome story, but also like funny and like action kind of. But it's funny I'm talking about Land Before Time. Like I don't even really remember it because it was so like I was so young when I saw it. But I remember loving it though. Like I remember it being like a big part of my life too. So
Toy Story too. Shout out to Toy Story.
Yeah, shout out to Toy Story, man. Yeah, for sure, dude. So music videos and movies, and then when did you like pick up your first like camera? And was it like a film disposable camera, or like what was your first exposure to that?
So I started video in high school. There was a trade school that we had called EVIT.
Okay. Is that
it's in Mesa.
Stand for something? Does it?
East Valley Institute of Technology.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
That's what it's called.
Nice.
And then I originally went there for culinary, hated it. They straight up treated us like as if it was a Gordon Ramsay Kitchen Nightmares episode. But
teenagers.
Yeah, exactly. Like we were like 15 years, we're like 16 years old, and we're like, Jesus Christ, like,
relax.
Why are you yelling at me right now? Like, this is just an elective. Like, relax. But I didn't like it, and then my buddy that I was hanging out with at the time was doing the video production thing, and he's like, "Oh, dude, it's such an easy class. All we do is watch movies, and we don't even really do anything."
Nice.
And I was like, "Okay, that sounds chill. I want to do that." And lo and behold, I actually ended up really liking it.
That's awesome.
But I went to SEC, and to answer your question, I haven't bought a camera at all during this time. And I went to SEC, and I mostly just did screenwriting. I wanted to like write and direct rather than like film. But I got my associates dropped out because I was like, you know what, I'm not going to spend money on a film degree when I can essentially go do it on my own. After watching so much YouTube over the years, I was like, you know, there's so many other people doing this. Like, I don't need a film degree to go do this. Unless I wanted to go work on a film set, that's one thing. But I ended up selling my dirt bike, and I bought my first camera, which was this like, it was a film camera. It was like a lot of what people use for like skateboarding, but I bought it. It was a Canon GL3. I think that's what it was. But it like took 8mm tape, built-in microphone, stuff like that. And I was starting to use that. And I was mostly just filming me hanging out with my friends and stuff, because they would play music. They're like play guitar and drums and stuff. And then a few times when we would take shrooms, I would bring the camera and document our trip.
Yes, dude.
Really weird looking at that footage when you're the next day.
Of course.
And then I eventually got rid of that. And I think the camera that really started things out when I really started doing music videos and stuff is I eventually bought a Canon T4i.
Oh, nice.
And which is
the Rebel series?
Yeah, everyone would like usually start on that.
Yeah.
And then just kind of started really filming from there.
Dude, that's so cool that there was like those early sparks of like even using that little GL3, like just kind of filming your buddies playing music, you know,
Yeah.
where it's kind of like, oh,
Yeah,
like,
we were just like cracking jokes, like just them eating like a little Caesar's pizza. It was like I was like essentially vlogging.
yeah, like,
Essentially.
yeah, just for yourself though. Like it
Yeah.
wasn't even going anywhere.
Like I was like the
Yeah,
dad, like record, like it's like the dad recording his kids like take their first step. Like that's kind of how I
for
felt
sure.
when I was using that camera.
Hell yeah, dude. It's still nostalgic though to think about because I remember like the high 8 tapes, like
Yeah.
that's a high 8mm or whatever. And the GL3, if I'm not mistaken, that has like the handle on it, right?
Yeah, it has like the
Yeah.
handle. It's like essentially like kind of what you would see like people that like film skate
Skateboarding,
videos.
yeah, for
I
sure. Like
mean,
the VX 1000 kind
yeah,
of style.
and that, I didn't have the big old fisheye,
Oh,
but
okay.
yeah, it was essentially like kind of similar to that.
Yeah, totally, dude. That's so cool. Yeah, so that was in high school then when you kind of officially started doing that.
Yeah, when I actually started filming, that was probably like right after I graduated high school.
Okay, when you got like the T4i and started.
Yeah, like I started filming. That's when I had a new group of friends, and they were like rappers and stuff. And I was starting my brand under Society around that time, and because I wanted to create some sort of platform.
Yeah.
And my buddies, you know, they were just like freestyling, rapping and stuff, and I would just like bring my camera over and just film them. And no microphone, nothing else, like literally just a camera and batteries and an SD card. And then just kind of went from there. We started to kind of join forces, and we made a collective under my brand name. And so it was essentially like I'm the cameraman, they're the talent. I think there was like 6 of them. And then I brought like a buddy of mine named Pseudo and like a buddy of mine named Brian into the mix. And we were just making these music videos and just like ciphers, essentially, like these freestyle videos and stuff. We were just like documenting as much as we could and just putting them out there on the internet on Facebook. So,
Yeah, for the love too. When it's just like when you really like didn't know if anything would come from it. It's just like,
No.
let's just put this out there.
exactly.
Yeah, just because you could, just because you
Just
had
'cause you
the
could.
ability to.
You know,
yeah.
you had no ego at that point. You had no, you didn't really care about getting paid. You just cared about like, you know what, this is something I want to get into. I'm just gonna put my 10,000 hours in, I guess.
For sure, and without even knowing it at the time, you know, like
No.
without even like
You're not
constantly
even
thinking about it like that. Yeah,
stuff. You're just like, this is fun.
yeah, exactly, dude. And that's what really I feel like where you make your most progress when you're doing it like for the love, when you're like not thinking about like money and you're not thinking about comparing yourself and not thinking about views, you're not thinking about all these other metrics that like deter you from the creativity.
Exactly.
So I love that you did that. So that was under Society, that collective. Is that what you call? So that was what you called it? Is that
That's
kind of what it was?
That's what it originally was. Like, to kind of backtrack a little bit, like it first started with just me trying to showcase anyone that was creative, kind of like what you're doing on this podcast a little bit. But I was like wanting to make like an Instagram and like YouTube of like me filming and sharing people's like artwork or like people's skills, like even if they like juggled or something, or if they were like a painter, or if they did like sculpture or anything like that. It wasn't really geared towards music, but then like obviously like some music and stuff was involved as well. And then once I met my buddies or started hanging out with my buddies, they were all just like into hip hop and rapping. So I was like, you know what? Let me just start filming this stuff.
Nice.
And then eventually Undersighted just kind of turned into like a hip hop thing.
Okay.
Because once I stopped, like we all kind of had a falling out because we all just had creative differences. It just didn't really work out.
Yeah.
I went kind of into my own direction with Under Society and just kind of made my brand into more of like a local platform. And so from there, I started going to like random shows. I remember adding just a bunch of people on Facebook, and because I didn't really know anyone. I was growing up in Gilbert, and there's not really many rappers or people that like were like in that realm in Gilbert.
For sure.
And I just started adding all these random people, and I met these guys called Guild. They're like a group of producers, and they would perform at Tempe Tavern like once a month, every like Thursday. And I was just starting to film that stuff and like kind of meeting new people, doing more of my thing of just like filming and just making edits for them and just like, hey, here you go.
Yeah.
post it, do whatever you want to do with it. And then from there, I started to get more people to hit me up about like shooting and stuff. And then I started making, but there was like other things I wanted to start doing. I wanted to make like a series. So I started making a Cypher series.
Nice. That was back to those roots.
Yeah. And that's kind of really where my brand took like I guess a turn to where like really started to get some notoriety.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just like all the people that I've met, and all those people I've added on Facebook over the years, I would, and all the shows I went and all the connections I made, I would just get 4 people that I thought were pretty dope. And I'd get a few producers, the 4 rappers would choose which beat they want to do. And we would just film it. And I wanted the episodes to look different each and every time. And like one location, we're in downtown Phoenix, another location, we're in the Rim in Payson. And that was a really cool series, and I wanted to treat it like a TV show because I was a big fan of Team Backpack at the time. Do you remember Team Backpack?
I don't. Not right off top. No.
Oh,
no.
I wish they were still around. There was like a freestyle platform where they'd be national, even global with it, where they just get like a bunch of local acts to like compete with each other in this like cypher battle.
Damn.
And that was a huge inspiration I had at the time for that. And yeah, I was like trying to make like an actual show for it, and we were getting like really good notoriety locally with it, and it was awesome. And yeah, I've been trying to revive it, but I just hasn't really come around.
Yeah, it's kind of cool that it kind of came full circle in that sense, where like the cypher, because that's kind of like you were starting with like that stuff, and then it kind of came back to that stuff, like doing the cypher series like with your homies. It's like that's kind of like the roots, like that hip hop roots, like really taking hold, and like that embodies it right there, like the cypher series.
Yeah,
that hip hop roots.
Yeah, and ciphers are still kind of dead right now.
For
but
sure.
Even at that time, like no one was really posting ciphers. Like Team Backpack was like the top one, or you look forward to the XXL cipher, or maybe the BET Awards. But there wasn't really like an underdog trying to prop something like that up.
For sure.
I wish I could have gone further with it, but I don't know. I guess ego got into play.
Hey man, it's all good. You can still bring it back someday.
Someday.
Yeah, it kind of, when you were talking about, kind of reminded me of like Wild and Out.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Where it's like a cypher show. That one is a little bit more like
televised.
And
but Wild and Out is
like written. You know what I'm saying?
That show is so awesome. I mean, it's just like a mixture of like comedy and like a live performance and like entertaining a crowd and stuff. Like I love that type of environment.
Yeah, dude. So it's like a little bit more of like a it's a little bit more than just cypher. But like when we were talking about, it brings me back like when because I used to watch that all the time when it was first out back in MTV days. But like the cypher was always like a big part of it, and they would just be talking shit.
I know. And that's what I liked about it, is like it gave, and I think what really inspired me to keep going with like the cypher series, because I think I made like 9 of them or something like that.
Oh dang. So yeah, that's what's up.
And it was just so cool to like kind of see, as like it got more notoriety, like people were wanting to be like, I'm going in and I'm going to put my all into this.
Nice.
And it actually really turned into like a competition, and of like who could body the beat the best. And
yes,
I don't know. And it just provided like, I think like things like that need to exist more in Arizona.
Yeah.
Is like real, like friendly competition, and people that can really like something to just like look forward to. Like you're tuning into a TV station. Like, I don't know. Everyone's just really spread out and doing their independent thing. But I think like things like that need to be more apparent for, I guess, our culture here to start defining itself.
Absolutely. And I agree, dude. And this is actually a conversation I had with Chase Warren, and we were talking about how the rap scene out here is pretty dang cutthroat. And it's like, there's not a lot of support for each other in the rap scene a lot of times. Whereas like maybe it's not necessarily like direct, like not support, like I fuck you type shit, but it's like they just don't even like care to like build community. You know what I'm saying? Where it's just like they just want to focus on what they're doing and then nothing else pretty much. You know what I'm saying? Whereas like in the rock community, it's like a little bit the opposite. Whereas like bands are trying to like collaborate with other bands. They're like trying to get each other on shows. Like they're hitting each other up. They're working together. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like there's a little bit more of a community, for lack of a better term. So I think when you're talking about like getting people together in like a cypher and like having something for people to look forward to and almost build that community and that camaraderie in the same industry, I think that would do so much for the rap community out here. And if there was something that like people were actually like down for. And I think of course it would take a few of the big hitters out here to like push and like try to get people in it, you know, like the futuristics of the like the valley, you know what I'm saying, where it's just like kind of the big rap guys out here.
There's actually a movement that a few of my old buddies started, Ben Fly and mostly Ben Fly, but and De La Prime as well. They're building, have you ever heard of Easy Way to Active?
Not right off top. Nope.
So that is like, because I actually listened to what you and Chase were talking about the hip hop community being cutthroat, and I agree to it to an extent that there is a lot of ego that comes in the hip hop industry for sure, which can maybe explain the fact that people are kind of in it for themselves. So opposed to the band side of the things, I would say it's a lot more humbling, and people provide a lot more camaraderie, I would say, in the band community. But I am starting to see like certain things like Respect the Underground is something that's kind of been around for a while, that has been a platform for years. And that's like they do the hip hop festival once a year. And then my buddy Benji and De La Prime, they kind of they're starting to make their own kind of like platform in a sense. And it is like sort of a community. It's called AZ Way Too Active. They try and showcase like certain artists and stuff. But I would agree that not a lot of that exists. Yeah. There's only like select few that are doing that. For sure. There is like some sort of community building, but it's definitely not, I wouldn't say it's probably nearly as where it should be at the moment.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that it's starting to take those types of moves in that direction, because I've been pretty tapped out of the rap game for a long time. But it's just like to be able to know that these things are happening and know that these communities are trying to be built, I think that's amazing. Because like, yeah, we were doing teammate market shows in like 2016. So, you know, it's
I remember those.
Long time ago. Did you go to teammate market shows?
No. I just saw what Marcus was doing with that branding, and because I don't know if it was Teammate Marketplace. So I was actually interviewed by Marcus not too long ago, but I never went to the shows, but I did like the kind of because I got to see like a lot of like the BTS and like what he was posting and stuff, and I was like, well, that's pretty damn cool. So,
yeah, man.
And that's like the community building that I think that you're probably mentioning, huh?
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, so it's just like the teammate market stuff back in the day. I just remember just kind of being like, it was tough. Like we felt like we were running an uphill race, in a sense where it almost felt like when we switched over to this modern, it was like a lot easier to like get booked on shows. And yeah, and I guess this is another thing that I talked with Timo yesterday, and because he came on last night, and we were talking about how at one point we got a show with an artist that was like a R&B artist, and we literally booked the show and everything, and we're teammate Marcus, but at this point we're teammate Marcus with the full band, so it's like rap with a full band. Mm-hmm. So we're still playing rap shows because we're a rap artist, right? So we're not doing rock shows yet. But anyway, so we booked the show, and on the day of the show, we're packing up everything, and we're halfway through packing up the car, and then our manager Amy calls us and says, "Hey, like they're pulling on the show because you have a full band set up, and they weren't expecting you to have a full band set up, so they're saying you can't play." So we literally had to like refund all the tickets that we sold. Oof. And cancel the show 3 hours before the show because the rap promoters didn't want a full band going on. Even though we played rap, they didn't want the full band. And that was like so disheartening to us, where it's just like, we're too rock for the rap community, but we're too rap for the rock community. Hey, Martians, real quick. I appreciate you taking the time to listen or watch wherever you are in the world. Over the last few months, the Martian family has grown so much. I could not be more thankful for all of my guests and every single one of you who continue to tune in every single week. Subscribers, ratings, likes, and comments all help us grow here on Mars. And it would mean the world. If you haven't already, please go to onmarspod.com/subscribe to subscribe on YouTube. Like and leave a comment, rate us on Spotify. All this good stuff helps keep the engine running to inspire Martians all over the world. P.S. Follow us on Instagram @onmarspod. Okay, let's get back to it.
I'm not really into the the scene as much as I used to be, but I like to kind of show support from afar.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I had like during when I was like doing music videos and I was like really into that, like we had an amazing group of people that like really support each other. And I think those pockets still exist. But I also believe that like when it comes to like hip hop, I mean, just the way that hip hop is like structured by design, it is a lot of ego.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of like, you know, I'm the shit, you're not. Fuck you, you know.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. But I also think the older you get, hopefully the more humble you get too. So, yeah, I just remember I was so blessed during the time because it was like 2016, 2018, like just all the people I met and all the things we were making and all the things that were going on. Definitely probably one of the biggest highlights in my career and in life, I would say.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know. There's just so many people that I met that I'm still talking to this day. And like, I've met even like some of my closest friends from the hip hop community. And
Yeah.
but I'm not really sure what it's looking like right now. I kind of just see bits and pieces of it now.
For sure. And you were like in with your crew too. So it's just kind of like outside of like your people. And, you know, it's kind of hard to know what's going on in the rest of that.
Yeah.
The world, I guess, of local Arizona hip hop.
Yeah. Do you remember like the full moon festivals?
No, I don't, bro.
Oh, okay.
When was that?
That was probably like around the time I'm talking about, like 2016, 2018. But like,
Okay.
I remember that was like such a weird integration at that time in Arizona because it was like EDM and like kind of, but there was also, they were allowing, like we knew Jonathan Luther that was running the whole thing, and he literally made like his own local like Coachella pretty much.
Damn.
And it was really big. I'm not sure where it's at now, but they would allow like a hip hop stage there. And I just remember that community growing more and more in this like EDM environment, but we had our own little pocket of like hip hop there. And if people that are watching this and they know what I'm talking about, you knew it was a great time.
Yeah, shout out. Yeah, dude. I love that. And I think more of that needs to happen because I think like Phoenix metro area is growing so rapidly
Especially
right now. Especially after COVID, for sure. So it's just like the population's growing, the city's growing, and I think the culture is developing more and more and more. Even though some people might argue that there's like a lack of culture, I think there is.
It's just a conglomerate of people from all different parts of the nation.
Like a lot of people in Arizona that I've met are not from Arizona.
Yeah, I get that.
Which is, yeah, it's kind of funny. It's like a lot of my friends are from Arizona, but just like other people that I've met, I just know so many people that are living here. A lot of
creative people I know aren't from Arizona.
Right, yeah. It's almost like they come here.
They're like, rent's cheap there. It's hot as balls, but I'm gonna go over there.
Yeah, there's mixed reasons. It's just like a lot of people come from the east. They're like, fuck the cold. Going to the desert, dog.
Yeah, and then they experience their first summer and like, what the fuck did I just do?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I'd rather be 115 and sweating my dick off than have like -10 and like freezing my balls off.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, it's different, bro.
So you can always cool off. Like you could also get warmer, but I mean, it would suck to like be shoveling snow off your car or
dude.
like muggy days. Like I feel like living in like a place like Portland or Seattle would be kind of rough after a while. Like I love rain, but after a while I could be like, this is fucking depressing.
Agreed. No, it would for sure. Like dark skies, no sun.
Yeah.
It's like, nah, dude.
Need some vitamin D.
Yeah, dude. AZ is like clear skies, palm trees, mountains.
Yeah.
Dude, it's paradise,
It
bro.
could be like today, it could be like complete daylight and it's just thunderstorms.
Yeah, exactly.
Like bipolar ass weather here.
Yeah,
you never know
dude.
what you're gonna get.
Yeah, we're technically in monsoon season right now, I think.
Yeah, and it's been weak as shit.
That's true. There's only been a couple spurts.
But
So I want to talk about your creativity, because you have a very unique style when it comes to your creativity in your music videos.
okay.
And it's, you're using animation, you're using visual effects, you're using other editing tools to kind of show a different side than rather just the video itself. You're like kind of adding these elements to create that almost like standout video versus like the rest of the I don't know, the community, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, was that intentional? Like, did you add those things in like because you wanted to kind of stand out and kind of add these extra visual elements just to kind of be something different?
Oh, 100%. I mean, when I started out, like I was always wanting to like surprise myself of like where I can go with it. And a lot of the people that I either looked up to or like saw people locally of what they were making, like I always wanted to stand, like you're saying, like I always wanted to stand out. And I really got into like visual effects early on, and I wanted to a lot of people master their like filmmaking skills, but I always try to master my editing.
Yeah.
I always like, I would say a majority of my career is like turning a dog shit into like a polished turd, because the footage would like be ass, but like as long as the edit's good, like it's a pretty decent video. But I really got into like visual effects by a lot of YouTube tutorials.
Oh, really? Nice. So all self-taught.
All self-taught. Like pretty
Wow.
much everything I did is self-taught. Like all like YouTube University. Because like keep in mind when I went to college, like, and like when I was doing school at EVIT, like I was learning like the fundamentals of film, like because we were using Premiere Pro at that time as well.
Nice.
So I got like to know the basics of things. But where I really learned how to do things is just trial and error, just me doing it myself, and then finding it out on YouTube. It's like how do I raise the volume in Premiere, or how do I make this transition in Premiere, or After Effects and stuff like that. And I think because when I was doing it, I was learning visual effects, but then I stumbled across the one and only Cole Bennett.
Of course.
And that's where I was like, oh, it's working for him. I want to try learning how to do stuff like that as well. And I just feel like at that time, visual effects really accented hip hop music, I would say.
Sure.
Because I wasn't really too into like the storytelling and trying to get like extras and actors and stuff like that. I just wanted to make cool looking visuals.
Yeah.
And yeah, a lot of it was just trying new things and always just trying to provide like a new taste to my videos. I was never content with what I was making.
Yeah.
I'd always judge myself.
Yeah, I mean, you're your biggest critic. As a creative, I feel like you're always going to be your biggest critic.
100%.
It's so cool that all of this was all like YouTube University. Like whenever you had a question or something you had in your head, you're like, well, how do I do this? And
Exactly.
It's just like, just looked it up and there's a video on it.
Yeah, like I'm not going to lie.
Like,
Like I didn't like pioneer anything. I was just like, dude, I want to learn how to do that. I'm going to find out how to do that.
yeah, and you did it. And
I did it.
It's like, I think that's the cool thing where it's like some people might see these things and like, oh man, that looks so like crazy. Like there's no way I'll be able ever to do that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Versus like, well, what's the first step?
Yeah, exactly. Like
well,
what's the first thing I can do?
yeah, exactly. To get me in that direction at least, because I think like the animation specifically, I feel like that's something huge. Like adding those little tiny like details into the video, like you said, it really accents the music.
Yeah.
So it's like, so were you doing like keyframe stuff, or was it more like packs, like template stuff, or like what kind of what were you using?
So when I first started, like when I was really starting to dive into After Effects, like you kind of learn like certain things like rotoscoping, which is like highlighting certain things on the video, like the subject itself or something in the background, and keying it out,
Like masking.
yeah, like masking pretty much.
Yeah.
And even though it's such a pain in the ass because you have to do it frame by frame,
Yeah.
but then you learn other things like 3D tracking, like how can I track a certain asset to move with the footage. And so there was this website that I used a lot at the time called productioncrate.com. If you're watching this and you want to learn basic things about 3D compositing, go to productioncrate.com. This is not it's not a sponsor.
This is not a sponsor. But their website is right here though.
But that's where I kind of first started, because like there's a lot of things that they were able to offer. They were able to offer like explosions and like lightning and like all these like transparent pre-made animations. Because I didn't really make anything from scratch when it came to like the actual animations. I was more so compositing things.
Yeah.
And then you would use 3D tracking and then a little bit of rotoscoping. So if you wanted something to appear behind the artist or, you know, in front of them, you know, you would do according so. And then from there, I mean, I don't really do that kind of visual stuff anymore. Like as far as that kind of effects, a lot of things I use now are like asset packs and like a lot of texture overlays and things like that. But then I started getting into like other things of like how I can film to accent my editing. So I would do certain things like shooting at a low shutter speed, getting that blurred look, or doing like whip pans with my camera and essentially, and then like crash zooms and like all these things of like how I can make the footage accent to like what I'm going for.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I first got a gimbal, oh my gosh, if you buy a gimbal and it's your first one, that's like all you're using the whole time.
Yeah.
Then you start to get sick of it. You're like, I don't really want to use this anymore. But I remember using the gimbal a lot, which allowed me to do a lot of that compositing because I'm getting that smooth, buttery footage.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then it just kind of went from there. And just I would always watch music videos of like from Brother or like ASAP Rocky. Like Brother was like a huge inspiration for me. I don't know if you know who they are. They're a group, like they're like a visual production group, a duo actually. They did the Goosebumps video for Travis Scott.
Oh, okay.
And they did like The Weeknd. I think it's like In the Night or something. But they have a huge like inspiration from like Japanese films, and like they do insane amount of effects, but they have like a really RGB trippy look to it. And they also incorporate a lot of sound effects into their videos. And that's something that I really got into because I feel like sound effects can really make videos pop as well. If you're having a certain transition happen, you got to have some sort of whoosh or some sort of thing to accent that. Like if there's a picture, if there's like a shot of like birds flying in the air, you got to get like the wing flaps and the flocking of birds. And it kind of immerses you more into the music video. So it's like, as time went on, I just started incorporating those little things like, okay, visual effects, you know, camera work, composition, you know, and then like sound effects and, yeah, just constantly just trying to elevate that even more and more.
Yeah, it's so cool that you were doing that with like music videos, but like you were filmmaking, you know, and like at that point, like that's film, like you're like making films, really, like using like those tools, and like even the things that you're talking about, like these are things that are done in like full scale production films, like using rotoscoping, using the sound effects, and like being able to immerse you into the video with the sound effects. And like these are just like classic like cinematic elements that you're adding into your music videos. That's every time you're doing another music video and you're adding them, it's just like progressing more and more and more.
And I think with music videos, like the filmmaking rules are meant to be broken. I learned like my knowledge of just filmmaking in general was so ass backwards. And typically you would learn about like how to film, how to light, and composition and stuff like that. But I was just like, all right, I'm just filming whatever. I'm going to learn how to do editing, and then I'm going to learn how to do visual effects. And then maybe I'll go back into like learning how to do lighting. And then I would learn how to do color grading. And so like my process was just like all over the place. And I don't know, it just kind of worked out because I just knew that when you're not making like actual short films and stuff, break the rules.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. And there was something that you talked about that I want to kind of quick touch on, where it's like you kind of focused on the edit versus like the filming of it.
Yeah.
Where I feel like that's such an important part to it, where it's just like the edit is sometimes more important than the shot itself, whereas like, because you can shine up that turd to make it look good if you're good at editing.
And I did that intentionally. I wanted to be a stronger editor than a stronger filmmaker, because I knew for a fact that editing was in demand.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that film. There's not a lot of people that edit or edit well.
Yeah.
And like right now, that's all I do. I'm just like a full-time video editor.
That's sick,
I barely even touch my camera, sadly enough, but I just edit. And I don't know, it's definitely allows me to, because I'd rather hone in on one thing than try and like be good at everything. Yeah. I'd rather try and be a master at one thing.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to just focus on editing, and it's taken me pretty far from the type of projects I've been able to touch lately.
Absolutely, man. And I think having that mindset of like kind of doubling down on what you're best at or what you feel most fulfilling, you're fulfilled with, I guess, that's basically what you're doing. And I think that's beautiful, because you're still in the industry, and it's just like you're not only in the industry, but like you're getting yourself more known as an editor in the industry, which is of course a lot more of like a need
exactly
than someone to be behind the camera.
Oh yeah.
I want to talk about kind of that transition. So you started doing, you kind of took a step back from the music video scene, been for a couple of years now, but now you're getting into like more like digital marketing content for like corporate companies. Like I saw you did something with like, was it Ford? Or was it?
Yeah.
No, it was sorry.
I wish it was Ford.
It was a car company, right? You did.
Yeah. Function Factory Performance. It was
okay. That's what it was.
It's like a local car performance drop shipping company. Okay. And my buddy Charles, I've done work for him for years, and he had this like arrive and drive program where he had this GT 500 Mustang that was like pushing like, I don't know, probably like 500 horse.
God damn.
And he was getting these like rich motherfuckers to like pay to like learn how to do like professional racing. And so we made an ad that was to promote of like signing up for this program and driving this fast ass car. And yeah, it was really dope, because it was shot beautifully, filmed very well. And they gave me the footage to edit, and I did my thing through some visual effects and stuff. But like, I was such I'm a huge fan of Ford, but I'm also a huge fan of like automotive commercials. They're insane.
Yeah.
Like seeing like the new Raptor commercial, or like hell, even seeing like a McLaren commercial and stuff. Like they're just shot so beautifully and so engaging. And so yeah, I've been starting to get more into stuff like that, of just helping companies and branding, and like trying to make companies make more money with their visual content. Because at the end of the day, that's why I got in this industry, was to help people. Originally, it started with artists and rappers. Like I wanted to help perpetuate people's careers. But now I'm kind of in more of a lucrative industry, to where I can like edit and help companies or entrepreneurs build and scale their business, which leads to more sales and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I guess that was another question like on this topic, whereas like that transition out of music videos and into that corporate space, I'm sure that you get a lot more money from the corporate videos than you do from local artists doing music videos.
Yeah, and it's definitely not as fun, I'll tell you that. Yeah. It's definitely, but hey, it pays the bills.
For sure.
I still get to be my own business owner. I can still like have that freedom. And I think now it's like, because that's like really all I do. Yeah. I need to find that balance to do the things that I love to do, which is like making films, or hell, making a music video. Because I'm actually directing one this weekend, so it's like nice. I still get invited, or like I still get music videos like on my lap sometimes to like edit or to direct. But I just try not to make a focus on that as much, because I need to expand my wings. I need to learn new things. Yeah, and I've learned a lot just from making stuff for like companies, and like, oh man, I feel like all I'm making now is just reels, but
vertical content,
just vertical content. But like, I'm learning new things. I'm adding to the entire editing bubble. Like I'm becoming more versatile, which is at the end of the day, which is what I love.
For sure, man. And you're scaling your business really. And
Yeah.
it's like you've been in the game for almost 10 years now. So it's just like you need to change and you need to evolve and you need to have different versions of yourself. Like even Cole Bennett. It's not like he's doing music videos necessarily all the time anymore. It's
He's
like
making like ads and stuff now.
He's doing ads. He's running Summer Smash Festival.
Exactly.
He's doing collaborations with Minions. There's so many other things that the Lyrical Lemonade crew is doing now than just music videos.
It's pretty much an agency at this point.
For sure. Exactly, dude. It's exactly like that. So it's like you're in that same way where like you're just evolving the business. And that's just like that is where you're at now. It's just like you had your history, you made your waves in the music video scene, and now people come to you as like a OG.
I'm like the old head now. And that's what's great is because I'm so glad that I did like make music videos and experience that in my life, because they're with, I guess, like with the quality, or just like people knowing like, okay, this guy isn't an average editor. Like he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
A lot of people do come to me and like, hey, can you make something for me real quick? Or like I get a lot of inquiries, and I've always believe that like you'd rather have a demand than a supply. I don't say yes to everything, but I just like the fact that I was able to build a name for myself like that, to where people can go and they trust that I'm going to execute what they're trying to do.
Absolutely.
People will ask me like, do you know how to do this? And I'll sit there and watch it at like slow motion. Like if they send me like a YouTube, like I'll put that playback speed at like 20.25, and I'm really studying the edit, and I'm like, I've never done it before, but I'm sure I could figure it out.
Yeah.
So
That's cool.
A lot of it has just been a lot of problem solving too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's kind of a cool mindset to have, where it's just like, I've never done this before, but I know I could figure it out and I know I could do it. It's like almost biting off a little bit more than you can chew at the time. And then you end up finding out that you can eat the whole plate, you know,
exactly.
Like that type deal.
Like, I remember a client recently, reached out to me and he was like, can you make these super engaging shorts? And it was like Alex Hormozy style, do you know?
Oh yeah, of course.
So it's like with the text and like the transitions, all that stuff. And
quick edits, yeah.
And I was like, I never really made it personally, but I could figure it out. And then so what I did, and this is actually, I would say this is good advice for anyone that's looking to pitch to a client. He sent me footage. He's like, okay, how about you take a crack at it? And I was like, okay. And then I actually didn't even touch the footage that he sent me to like make an edit to. I luckily had my own setup. And I had like a camera, a key light, and all this stuff like on my desk, and I made my own. And so I sent him this reel where it was like super comedic style, like super engaging. And it took me like a whole day to make. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to make it myself. Like, I'm just going to make my own reel and send it to you.
Just to show you that you can, yeah.
Yeah, and just show off like all my skills. It was like pretty much like a video resume almost. Like there's visual effects, there's sound effects, there's subtitles, there's transitions, and then they could see me like, okay, what does this guy look like? What's his demeanor like? And then I sent that to him, and he was just blown away. It's like, okay, sold. It's like, I got so much work for you to do.
Yeah.
And so I would say if you have a client that's reaching out to you and asking if you can do something, go make it yourself and then show them that you're competent enough, and like just blow their fucking minds. Like, and hell, you might get a client for life.
For sure. I mean, that's such a cool, like, where it's just like, I'm not going to tell you, I'm going to show you. And that's basically what you did, where it's just like, yeah, I could tell you that I could do this, or I could just make one myself and then just send it to you and then make you shit your pants.
And the the short itself was literally me giving a tutorial of how I made it. It was like, hey, this is me making my first short, and this is how I did it.
Yeah.
And then I'm just like explaining how I like setting up the microphone, setting up the light, and like how I'm editing it in Premiere, and like things I'm keeping out for. It's like audience retention, things like that, adding music and all that stuff. And I'm literally just showing him how I'm making it. It's just, I don't know. It was really cool. And I think once I made that, I was like, damn, that was really fun. I want to make that, make more of those. And I was like, maybe I should start being in front of the camera more. So that's kind of something I'm getting into more is like I want to start making a YouTube channel and
Good.
do like comedy stuff and like make reels and like make people laugh and but also entertain them at the same time.
Dude, I love that you're doing that, dude. And I mean, it's like this is gonna come out in November too, so it's like maybe by that time you'll already kind of be in that like coming back to the internet.
I just need to get out of my own way.
Yeah, for sure, dude. A lot of creatives are in that same world, you know, where it's just like Russ talks about a lot about that, where it's like that's his book name, where it's like get out of your own way.
Russ, the artist.
The artist, Russ, yeah. Just one of my biggest inspirations, but it's just like that's.
You kind of look like Russ.
I get that a lot. I get that.
It's okay.
A lot.
I get John Mayer. So.
Hell yeah, dude! I can see that for sure. Yeah, kind of like the getting out of your own way. That's definitely something like it's like you're your biggest critic always, and it's just like you're always gonna be like you always got to kind of like just say fuck it, just do it, bro. And
well, let me
like,
ask you because I from watching your previous episodes, like I remember like I think Marcus was saying something like this is a long time coming. Yes. And you've kind of given me some background of like how he's helped you start this. Like, when were you like, you know what, fuck it, dude, I'm gonna start this. I'm gonna make this podcast. And then now, like, what was it like when you first made your first episode? And now, how are you getting the habit of doing it each and every time?
Starting out, I kind of told you off air a little bit, but like in March or April, that was like when I officially said like I'm doing this after talking about this for 2 years plus with people around me. And basically in my head, I was like, I want to bring people together where we can have good conversations and inspiring talks. And it was going to be centered around creative people. And I didn't know what it was going to be called. I didn't know exactly what it was going to look like. So I just started acquiring gear that I didn't already have, because I already had one camera and then one microphone. So I had to get a second camera, second microphone, lights, couple things, just these lights, like the RGBs and all that stuff. And because I wasn't sure what it was going to look like yet, but I knew that like I needed these elements to make it something. To make it something. Exactly. To make it to the level that I wanted to make, like the production level that I wanted to make it at. So that is kind of what took some time. So like in March is when I very first started, and I didn't even have these lights. I don't even think I had the RGBs at the time. I just had like shitty Amazon, the twist on screw lights with the 5600 Kelvin.
But you knew what you wanted to look like and what the quality you wanted to achieve.
Yeah, the production level, and like I knew that I wanted it to look good, and like I didn't know what like the set was gonna look like, but yeah, so it kind of came down to like me filming like 3 or 4 test episodes with my homie Akili. Shout out Akili, episode 3.
Oh, cool.
So he came over. And he shot these test episodes with me, and we did, like I said, like 3 or 4 before I realized like, okay, this format might work. And on that last one that we did, that was when we were here, and I think I technically recorded episode 3 first, and there was just like a way that I wanted to release it that he ended up being the 3rd episode. But anyways, like that first episode, that was like the first when I realized, okay, this is the format right here. And then it was like after that point, I recorded the Casey Waters episode and then the Marcus episode all within a matter of like 5 days. Like I recorded 3 episodes within like 5 days. So it was really quick, like that. This worked, I'm going to use this. This worked, I'm going to use this kind of deal. Whereas like every episode, things were getting changed within like the camera settings.
Yeah.
Like how
it's like trial and error.
Trial and error, exactly. So I was kind of shooting things a little differently and just trying. And I think all 3 of those episodes had like completely different settings, different focal lengths. And like I was just trying to find it. But it's just like by that 3rd or 4th one, I think it was Marcus's episode, that was when I was like, this is it. And I guess
hell yeah.
Yeah, man. And I guess just it was one of those things where I felt like if I didn't do it now, then I would be kicking myself later for not doing it, especially if I like continued to see other people do things in the same world, like the podcast space.
Yeah.
It's something I always obviously wanted to get into, like anyone, but it's like I wanted to get into it for a reason, and like make sure there's like intention behind it and there's like real passion and authenticity, and I wanted that to translate through the camera, because I've seen a lot of podcasts where they get into it for the wrong reasons, and they're doing it just to just to have a podcast and just to like be out there, which
Just for the hell of it.
just for the hell of it. And that's cool, you know, but like if you don't have like topics that you research and you don't like actually have like a format to the show, and you're not like I don't know, someone already, if you're like kind of like a nobody, I guess, and then you just try to start a podcast, it almost has like a negative effect where it's like people kind of can see through the inauthenticity. I don't know, where it's like they don't see that this is like I don't know, like, well, at least from a viewer standpoint, like I can see when people are doing it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah,
and it's just like where it's
like I'm not getting much of this. Like you're saying, it's not authentic.
yeah, exactly. Where it's just like it feels like they want to get into podcasts because they want to make money off of it or something like that. With that kind of mindset,
Yeah.
even if it's not necessarily just for money, but it's like if it's for popularity or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like these are the wrong reasons. Yeah.
Go me a Coke.
But yeah, dude. Yeah. So I guess that's a long answer, but it's just that's when I
No.
realized like that's like I gotta do this, bro.
Well, I think the reason why I asked is because that's what I'm currently going through with the whole YouTube thing. Because it's hard for me to put myself out there like that. I'm so used to being behind the camera. But I don't know. There's a I think my confidence has grown over the years a lot to where I'm like, you know what, I really want to like try new things first off, but also be more than I think I can be.
Yeah.
know?
Absolutely, dude. And I think you surprise yourself when you get started doing this stuff. You're gonna have that same revelation where it's just like after that first episode, you're gonna know exactly what went right, what you didn't do right, and then that second episode is gonna be miles ahead.
Exactly.
Third episode, it's like every time you're gonna get better and better. And I think with you already having that like that background,
I mean, like treat it like when I first started with video.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it's just going to be that much easier for you, I think, when you get into it. And even the fact that you went through and made that reel and that was fun for you, like you're going to start having fun with this new project. And
Exactly.
I really do think that, I mean, this conversation is going great. Like you do well on camera.
Oh,
so,
thanks, man.
Of course. So I think, yeah, you definitely need to get out there and do it, bro. I mean,
Yeah, and I said some certain things like my buddy Al, shout out to Al if you're watching this. He's actually coming over to my house tomorrow, and we're gonna film our first episode. And I'm not really sure where I'm going with it. I think we're gonna probably do some like reactionary stuff, but like I think he and I we look like polar opposites, but like we have very similar humor. And I think he's such a talented individual, and he's really funny as well. So we're just gonna see what our chemistry is like, and just
Nice.
kind of go from there.
dope,
So-
man. Is it going to be kind of like podcast style, or like is it more like
It's literally just gonna be like, because I have a microphone kind of like this, like a Shure mic, and it's just gonna be us talking to a microphone, camera on both of us, just one shot with just one key light, and essentially we're just gonna be probably just reacting to dumb shit online,
yeah.
and it's just gonna cut to like the video and the screen recording itself, and just see what happens.
For sure.
But I want
man.
to add
Well,
like video editing to it, like 3D effects and stuff. Like if there was like a point where like I'm trying to like shed a tear, like I want to do like a 3D like tear coming like
Yeah.
like I don't know. I want to like add like visual comedy to it as well.
For sure, dude. And I think you can. I think there's a lane for that. And obviously, you know, you were doing that with like your music videos and kind of adding those extra layers in. So it's like kind of doing that with this stuff.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
I would
dude.
favor it for sure.
For sure, man. And I kind of picture like taking an approach of like almost doing like I guess like having things ready for the episodes. Like for instance, like you load up like 10 videos and then homie
Yeah.
loads up like 10 videos and then you guys kind of just like
Let's talk these
swap-
stupid 10 TikToks
or whatever, yeah, or whatever, like the 10 whatever, like, or even like if you guys like whatever you guys are talking about, I think it might even be cool to kind of like not talk about what you're going to talk about until you're together.
Yeah,
You know
like,
what I mean?
We just don't even know what we're gonna get into.
And yeah, like you can like make your own list of things that you want to get into. He can make his list of things that he wants to get into.
Yeah.
And I think that would make for cool content where it's just like almost like you guys are like saving these things up to like show each other, where it's just like and then talk about it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like that can be like somewhat of a
That's a
format.
good idea. I think something like that, because then we can surprise each other with what we're
Yeah.
about to show each other.
Right. And that would be the idea where it's just like you guys don't talk about the episode until you're like going to go film it. And then like you pull out your list, he pulls out his list, and it's like,
what the
damn, bro,
hell?
where did you find this?
Al, what the fuck are you showing me right
Yeah,
now?
exactly.
Can we even show this online?
Exactly, dude. Yeah. Or just like you could even like even if you're not necessarily showing things, like if you like saw like an article or something over the last week that like is fucking crazy.
Blasphemy. Like, what the fuck? Yeah.
And then just kind of write it down, put it in the note or whatever. And like, that would be kind of a cool.
Yeah, I think as I do more, it'll kind of define itself. But when this comes out in November, Dylan, hopefully you're fucking doing it. And if I'm not doing it,
get on it.
we got some shit to talk about.
For sure, dude. No, I'm sure you'll get on it, dude. I could see it. You're already getting started with episode 1. So these tests, that's what's gonna get you in the right direction, dude.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Of course, man. So something I want to talk about, you've worked with other video creators in the area. You're in the scene very much so. So working with creators like I guess like Jakob Owens is like, I guess one of the biggest ones I can think of right off top that you've worked with directly. Like
we've only done one project together,
right?
But sorry, go on.
But you did work with him.
I did work with him. Yeah.
So it's cool though. The reason why I bring it up though is because it's just like I wanted for you to talk about like the importance of like putting yourself out there first to get opportunities. Saying yes to those opportunities and then crushing them. So it's like, obviously you said you don't say yes to everything, but it's just like in a position when you know like, oh, this is a good opportunity. It's just like saying yes and crushing it. Like,
oh yeah, it would have been stupid if I didn't say yes to that project. Honestly, I would like it when my buddy Ronnie was actually responsible for making that connection happen. I think Jakob Owens posted something on Instagram like, hey, I need an editor to give me like a 1-day turnaround on this project. And then Ronnie sent me that post and he was like, hey, you should hit him up. I reached out to him and I was like, hey, I'm interested in the job. And then he just asked like for like a reel or just like some examples of what I've done. So I sent him a bunch of stuff and he was like, okay, perfect, you're hired. And I was like, oh, that easy? Oh, okay. But yeah, it was, I said yes to it because it was Jakob Owens. You know, I thought that would be a great connection to establish. And 2, it was for the NFL Players Association. I was like, that looks good on my resume as well. And I remember they were shooting, the day they were shooting, him and Sam King, his director, they were shooting at this place in downtown Phoenix where all the rookie players are at. And they just asked if I want to come by and like check out the shoot and just like get more of an idea of what they're doing. And drove over there first thing the next day and just like chopped up with them, was saying hi, like, oh, hey, it's a pleasure. Thanks for having me a part of this project. And then we got some footage. Well, they gave me hard drives to get the footage and stuff. And oh, that was a doozy of the project because I had to make like 18 or 20 reels, which sounds easy, like face value, but like
18, 20 is a lot.
But it was like a collage setup to where they had like these PNG images that were split in 4 corners and stuff, and like they were filming these players in like a photo shoot setting and having them posing, doing all these different posings, and the NFLPA was just using it as marketing material for each of these players. And so I probably busted them out in like 10 hours. And I was probably up to like 2:00 in the morning. And it was like I had to do it in like 1 day.
Yeah.
And, so it was definitely like mentally hard to push that. But like, I just knew for a fact, like, Dylan, this is 100% worth it. And then I remember when I sent the first couple ones, like Jakob was like, dude, these are awesome. Great job. And just hearing that from him, I was like, that's awesome. And just started banging them out. And then he was like, hey, can you do a few more? He's like, I got to, take care of my family. I was like, yeah, no problem, dude. No worries. Like, not to be a fanboy. I was like, but anything for you, Jakob. But that was a really cool opportunity. And hopefully I get another chance to work with him again.
I'm sure you will, dude. And it's like, you're in there now. It's like, and I think that's kind of like the reason why I brought it up is because had you not taken that advice to reach out to Jakob from your friend sending you that post, you would have never got that opportunity. So
No.
you would have never had the chance to say yes. You would have never had the chance to work with NFL Players Association.
Mm-mm.
So it's just like the importance of really like you putting yourself out there and like
Yeah.
you being confident with your work, being like, hey, I want the job. Here's what I can do. And like, he's like, hell yeah.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like where if you would have never known, like if you would never done that, you would never known. And like it's like that confidence is so important when it comes to like being successful as a creative.
Getting out of your comfort zone, be like, yeah, and just tackling it head on. And I would say to add on top of that, like that's really why it's very important to like make friends in this industry.
Yeah.
And constantly always trying to help each other out. I feel like, I know we were talking about communities before between like the music groups between rock and like hip hop, but there's definitely, in my experience, there's definitely a really healthy like film community.
Absolutely.
And
I would agree.
Like everyone's always sending work each other's way, or like asking like, hey, could you jump on this project, or like, hey, what are your rates and stuff like that. Like my buddies, they're like, surprisingly, I haven't had to market myself really at all. Like I've just been getting things handed to me from referral base. And, shout out to my friend Tyler Chandler and my friend Ronnie Flicks Photography. They've helped me a lot. They've handed a lot of work my way. And I try and make sure that I reciprocate that energy too. And I think that's just really important to just really be as genuine as you can with people, and just making those connections.
For sure.
And maintaining them.
Absolutely. And building those friendships genuinely, I think, is the key to that too, where it's just like you're not doing like although like Jakob Owens was like an opportunity, like, oh, this dude is like massive, like I'd love to work with him. It was always like I'm gonna like fucking crush this, so that way like he knows that I'm like not bullshitting type deal, versus like just like trying to get people to like step on them to like push yourself higher type of deal. Like a lot of people in like, I don't know, in the world, not necessarily just in this industry or in creative industries, but like
human nature.
In human nature, there's a lot of people where their MO, their mission objective is to like use people and like step on their head to like reach up a little bit higher. You know what I'm saying?
And ego will be your biggest downfall.
For sure.
Like
dude.
I went through that early on when everyone was like, Dylan, you're the shit. You're so good. Like blah blah. And like you try and humble yourself, and because you are your own worst critic, but it's like in your subconscious, you're like, kind of am the shit, But then that gets in your way to where you start to act like if you let it, you start to act like you're better than people. And I learned that the hard way, unfortunately. But I, obviously learned from that, and I just try and cherish anyone I get to work with and people that offer me opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely.
That'll get you so much further.
For sure, man. Not burning bridges to light your way. And like I think that's kind of the key with like a lot of creative industries in general, where it's like, especially if you're doing it in like a city, where it's like you can build like a local community like that. Like I think that's so important versus like people that don't have that local community, where it's like you need to build those connections in real life. You know what I'm saying? Like in like person to person, it's like be friends with these people and don't be a dick.
Yeah, don't be a dick. Like, only be a dick if they owe you money. Yeah. But even then, don't be a dick.
Man, this has been amazing, by the way, bro.
Oh, of course.
I've been having
a great time,
dude. Yeah, likewise, dude. Yeah. So one last thing, I guess. What's the main focus for video content moving forward? I know you kind of talked about getting into this new project, and is that kind of where you're at, and just kind of doing corporate stuff? Where you at?
So right now, like my main goal was really just to establish client base and because I'd rather have a few really quality clients that keep me busy on a month-to-month basis. And that's finally coming into fruition. And so I just wanted to maintain and nurture those relationships as much as I possibly can. And so that way, bills are paid. I'm good. I don't have to stress about anything. I'm not jumping from project to project. So I think that's now a reality for myself.
Yeah.
I would say now that I've established that, I would say moving forward, man, I'd like to start showing my face, start developing a channel, start developing some sort of persona out there, developing some sort of community. Like people, because I'm a really chatty guy. Like if you're my friend, like I will stay on, like I call people a lot, and my friends are annoyed at me at this point because I just talk and talk and talk, just like I'm doing in this podcast. But I want to find a way to channel that on video. And I think just getting my voice out there, finding a way to express myself and develop some sort of community of people that can, either inspire or entertain or whatever. That's the ultimate goal. And if it grows and gets big, then I want to see how I can use that platform to help other people. Like if a buddy's music is like he wants to get pushed, if I want to use that for like an intro of my video or something, like I just want to find a way of how I can build myself up to help other people, because that's the ultimate dream I've always had.
Yeah, man. And it's like building that community is like where it starts too, where it's just like you can almost use that community to serve others. I love that, dude. And I think that's a great goal of yours, especially now that you've come to that point of like comfortability with your clients, and like you have your people that are keeping your lights on. And so you have that flexibility to like go into almost like a passion project like that in a way.
Yeah. I'm so blessed of where I'm at right now.
Yeah, dude. How old are you?
I'm 29.
Nice. So you're still young, dude. And it's
Still
like there's still a lot of time like for you to grow, which is crazy. It's just like you've done so much in your 20s that it's just like now your 30s are set up to be like the man, dude.
Dude, I appreciate that.
Dude.
I hope I mean someday kids and wife and stuff like that will come around the corner one day, but for right now, we just want to have fun.
Yeah, dude. Well, I love to hear it, man. I'm so glad that we were able to take this time and kind of push this this newfound like a face on the internet, because it's like you're never on the internet, bro. So let's get you out there. Let's push people to you, man. So everybody go follow Dylan at Visual Shooter on Instagram. Do you have a website that you want to push people to at all, or
Well, I am going through a slight rebranding, but if you would like to follow me on YouTube, it's just at Dylan Toon. That's DYLANTOON. Just going through some rebranding. Just call me Toon now. So.
Perfect. Oh, nice. Okay, so the Visual Shooter, we're retiring the Visual Shooter.
We're retiring that one. I mean, it'll probably still be up there, so you could definitely still follow me on Instagram at Visual Shooter, but I need to go negotiate with this kid in Asia to get the Toon handle, because that would be sick.
Dude. Amazing. Yes. Well, follow this man. Go check him out, man. Again, dude, I really appreciate you taking the time coming on Mars with me today, brother.
Of course, man. Pleasure.
Yeah, of course, man. Thank you. Fellow Martians, love you guys so much. Follow me at OnMarsPod, onmarspod.com, and we will see you guys next time. Love you. Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in and watching this episode of the On Mars Pod, and for sticking around to the end, man. I really appreciate you guys. You are the real Martians. Like this video, comment below what your favorite part was, what was most inspiring to you. Subscribe to the channel, hit that bell for notifications here on future interviews coming out soon, and also follow us on Instagram at On Mars Pod. Love you guys so much. We will see you next time on Mars.